The final culmination of Big and Carrie's affair, ending with Natasha finding Carrie in her apartment and chasing her out, is probably one of the most memorable scenes in the show. But I couldn't help but wonder, was there a piece of the puzzle that happened off-screen that led to this moment? Hello there, and welcome to my channel, where I analyze and talk about TV shows that I like. Around here, the curtain is blue for a reason. There's always a reason. Let's discuss. In a previous video, Why Carrie Copies Natasha, I discussed the various ways that Carrie would insert herself into Big's life, almost as if she was role-playing as Big's wife. The biggest way she did this is by lounging around in Big's apartment as if she owned the place, or as if she lived there. This scene, Season 3, Episode 11, is when Natasha comes back from the Hamptons, unexpectedly, and catches Carrie half running out of the apartment as she yells, "Carrie, I see you! Wait! I knew you were having an affair, but not in my house! Stop! I'm talking to you!" And bam, she falls and has to go to the emergency room. In that video I made, I point out that if Carrie is literally using her shower and washing her hair, we can see her hair is soaked in this scene, then obviously Natasha is going to see curly blonde hair all in the shower and will eventually find out about the affair. Also, let's be real, curly hair gets everywhere, so it's probably all in the bed and all over the apartment already. But this was the first time Carrie had been over at Big's apartment since he got married. Regardless, Natasha knew about the affair already. I knew you were having an affair, but not in my house. Even if we ignore that and think maybe Natasha is just saying that in the heat of the moment and she never actually knew it, she just had suspicions, Season 3, Episode 17 gives us a dialogue that confirms it. It's in the scene when Carrie confronts Natasha at a restaurant to clear her karma, and Natasha says, "I'm sorry that he cheated on me with you, and I'm sorry that I pretended to ignore it for as long as I did." Okay, so Natasha knew for a while, but how did she know? What were the pieces of the puzzle that Natasha saw? Despite Carrie's assumption that she's stupid, Season 3, Episode 3, it's a good thing she got married, the woman's an idiot. Natasha is much more than that. She quietly observed, took notes, and made a plan for herself. Season 2, Episode 17, 20-something girls versus 30-something women. Carrie sees Big talking to someone and learns that he is dating her. Natasha says, "Carrie, it's nice to meet you. I've heard so much about you." I know this is a polite thing that people say, even if you've never actually heard of the person, but it wouldn't surprise me if Big had mentioned Carrie here and there, especially if he knew that after Paris, Natasha and Big were going to be seen together in certain places. We already know that some of Big's friends get names confused, like in this scene in Season 1, Episode 7, where his friend Max accidentally called Carrie Julia. So Big probably did talk to Natasha about Carrie, just in case anyone accidentally goes up to her and calls her Carrie. This isn't a part of the puzzle, by the way. This is just setting up the table and getting the pieces ready. Natasha is now aware of Carrie's existence. The first piece of the puzzle was in the following episode, when Carrie called Big's apartment and hung up when Natasha answered. Then she called again, but stays on the phone when Big picks up. Carrie even thinks to herself, "I hadn't planned on the idiot stick figure with no soul to answer the phone." Then I remembered Big had caller ID. Now, when I had a landline with caller ID, and I had these little interactions where someone was prank calling me or whatever, and hanging up immediately, the first thing I did was look at the caller ID. Now, we don't see Natasha doing it. It happened off screen, but it was second nature of this time to check the caller ID after something like this happened. Carrie provides a sloppy apology and asks Big to apologize to Natasha for hanging up on her, but this is irrelevant. Natasha walks back into the room and immediately sees Big on the phone. She's not stupid. She knows it was the last person who just called and hung up on her. She even looks at Big and hears Big say, and kind of stammer a little, because Natasha is in the room. I know we see Natasha leave the room, but again, off screen, we don't know if Natasha can still hear what Big is saying. His apartment is really nice, but it's not so huge where you wouldn't be able to hear someone in the other room on the phone. So from Natasha's POV, she hears Big say this, "How are you? You sound a little nuts." "Oh, you have a speech, do you? Well, I'd like that. I've been meaning to call you, but I didn't know if you wanted to hear from me, so let's have a lunch." Throughout this whole conversation, it's obvious that Big and Carrie are very uncomfortable and stepping on eggshells. Don't you think Natasha would have been able to pick up on Big's awkwardness as well? Not to mention he's speaking pretty quietly and stammered even more when she was in the room. Puzzle piece number 1. Someone is calling our home and doesn't want to talk to me. Only Big. This person has Big on edge, so there's some history between them. Puzzle piece number 2. Seeing Carrie show up at the engagement party after the party is finished, only to talk to Big and nobody else. She just stands there and waits for Big to come to her. If she actually wanted to congratulate Natasha and Big, because she was invited, that would have been fine, and Natasha probably would have been fine with it too. But she didn't. She just stood there and talked to Big and Big only. She didn't even wave at Natasha or anything. In the entire scene, you can actually see Natasha in the background, and she's watching the entire time. She obviously doesn't know what they're talking about and can't hear it. Carrie even makes direct eye contact with Natasha in this moment, and Natasha turns away, just for a second. And this is when Carrie decides to LARP some movie and brush Big's short hair out of his face, which Natasha definitely saw. Like, what is that? Natasha sees this intense familiarity that Carrie still has with Big, and she now knows that Carrie still loves him and isn't over him. Season 3, episode 9, although Natasha ran into Carrie before this episode in a dressing room in episode 3 of the same season, Big wasn't around, so Natasha really didn't have a reason to be cold towards her. In fact, she was pretty polite towards Carrie. But now that Big is here, and they're now married, Natasha can see Carrie bumbling and stammering and stuttering up a storm by being next to him. When Carrie emerges from behind the table she was hiding behind, you can even see a look of annoyance or irritation on Natasha's face, almost as if she's thinking, oh great, it's her again. Puzzle piece number 3 is when coffee gets spilled on Big's pants, and Carrie immediately tries to wipe it off, causing Natasha to push through and almost yell, "No, I'll do it." And she has to snatch the napkin away from Carrie to wipe his pants. Again, this familiarity is the hint that Carrie's not fully out of Big's life and still feels like his girlfriend. Puzzle piece number 4, the final piece, isn't really shown to us, but we can make some conclusions. Season 3, episode 11, the episode where it all explodes. We see that Big and Carrie are meeting up constantly at hotels to continue their affair, and their schedule is all over the place. In the first hotel, Big is wearing a nice suit and looks well dressed as usual. This could easily be the evening time after work. But in the second hotel, Big is just wearing his undershirt and boxers. In the second hotel shown, Carrie says, "You know, you can't just keep changing the time like this. I have a schedule too. Wait, I have to put my diaphragm in. Well, I have to be at work in 40 minutes. Since he's so dressed down and we saw Big crack open a bottle of wine and started drinking, we can assume this is probably his lunch break and time is short. In the third hotel, which looks like a motel honestly, he's dressed down, drinking beers, and it's the middle of the day. Carrie notes that it's unbelievably hot and they're both just lounging around on the bed. They're not rushing to leave or anything like that. This feels like it's a day off, a Saturday or a Sunday. The fourth and final hotel, it's the middle of the day and Big is wearing his suit again, so this feels like it's probably his lunch break again. So I think it's safe to assume that the bulk of these meetups were during his lunch hour, with some odd meetups and odd times here and there. With all of the other puzzle pieces, Natasha is on edge and she's paying more attention to Big. She's noticing that when she calls the office during his lunch, he's not there. She's asking to meet up for lunch, he's unavailable. She calls and he's in random, spontaneous meetings that he never mentioned before. He's less available, and she's paying more attention. At the apartment, Big says to Carrie as he rushes out to go back to work since he's on his lunch break, "Take your time, shower. There's stuff in the kitchen if you're hungry." Big wouldn't say "take your time" to Carrie if he knew Natasha was going to be home from the Hamptons anytime soon. It was probably discussed between them, and Natasha said that she would be returning in the evening. Is it truly a coincidence that Natasha came home early from the Hamptons? Not at 8 a.m. or anything like that, but around his lunch break? She did this on purpose. She was trying to catch them in the act. Why? If Natasha knew that Big was having an affair, why not just divorce him already? Because she needed the hard proof. When Big entertained leaving Natasha before the affair even started, season 3, episode 9, he says to Carrie, "I thought about it, and it's going to cost me a lot, so maybe you should forget about what I said." I mean, I made my bed and I should lie in it. Spousal support, alimony, and the division of assets are all things that are considered during a divorce. Big knew a divorce with Natasha would cost a lot before he started an affair with Carrie. Now imagine how much it would cost with marital misconduct, which absolutely includes adultery. The state of New York takes marital misconduct into consideration when awarding spousal support or alimony, and when determining equitable distribution or marital property. There is also the concept of economic misconduct, which includes things like hiding assets, diverting marital income to pay for an addiction, spending marital income on an extramarital relationship, etc. So this is a double whammy for Big, because not only did he have an affair with Carrie, but how much money did he spend on the affair with all of these hotels? Not to mention Natasha quit her job at Ralph Lauren when her and Big got married, confirmed by Samantha in season 3, episode 17, when she says, Natasha left Big, their marriage is over, she's back to working for Ralph Lauren. Natasha saw the signs, the hints, the little tells that Big was cheating on her, but she needed to build the case. Who is it? What's the proof? And is it a one-time event or a long and extraneous affair that dipped into their marital income? She needed to keep quiet, keep cool, and set her plan in motion. Note the significance of Samantha saying Natasha left Big, not Big left Natasha. It was Natasha that filed for divorce and got her lawyers working ASAP. I'm sorry that I pretended to ignore it for as long as I did. Not only have you ruined my marriage, but now you have ruined my lunch. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what y'all think. Were there any other signs that Natasha saw concerning the affair? What do you think it was that tipped her off? Let me know in the comments, and if you have a suggestion for the next video, feel free to leave that in the comments as well. Thanks so much for watching. See y'all next time.